So, this is part 2 of the book haul. Do we have a song? No, because this is the second part of something. So, watch the first part, there's a song there. Also, I was not really inspired to start singing today. There's people in the house, you know the drill, but in the next haul, I promise there will be singing if that's something that you want. So to try and make this as short as possible, since there's already a huge haul this month, I want to show you first of all comics that I got for the month of September, then some manga, and then some books. So first of all, I want to show you one that you are used to me getting every single month, and that is the Joker. This one is issue 6, and it's inside of the plastic and you can't see it. There we go, less reflective. So the writer of this, as you probably know, is James Tynion IV, then the artist is Glenn March, and the colors are by Arif Prianto. And yeah, it's great. It's the Joker. I'm reading this. It's a noir sort of stylish comic about Gordon and his relationship with the Joker, and I'm loving it. Then we have a very excited novelty, and it's issue 1 of the Joker, a puzzle box, which from what I gather is sort of the Silence of the Lambs, but with the Joker. And this one is by Matthew Rosenberg, and the artists are Jesus Merino, Joshua Hickson, and the colorists are Ulysses Ariola and Joshua Hickson. It looks awesome. I think the Joker is kind of having... I don't know what he wants with this. I don't know. I'm excited. The cover is awesome. And then we have finally issue 1 and also issue 3 of Extraordinary by V. Schwab, and also Enid Balam, Leonardo Olea, and Jordi Esquin Lorac. Yeah, they all work together on this. And if you know, in my last haul I had volume 2, well, issue 2 because it's a comic, but now I finally have the first and the third, so now I can binge read this all. And this has to do with V. Schwab's series Vicious and Vengeful, which is about people with powers. When people pass through near-death experiences, some of can become extraordinaries, which are people with powers. So it's kind of like a superhero comic, but set in V. Schwab's world of her novels. If you haven't read Vicious, I do not recommend you to read Extraordinary because there are spoilers for scenes that happen in Vicious and for the ending of Vicious. So probably pick that one first. Then we have, as is per usual as well, The Conjuring the Lover, and this is issue 3. I have no idea what this is about, but I really want to know, and it has to do with the Conjuring universe, which you all know that I love. Then we have another one that is familiar to you, which is The Nice House on the Lake, again by James Tynion IV, and Alvaro Martinez Bueno and Jordi Belair. This is issue 3 of it. I haven't started this yet, but I really want to. Sort of horror, cabin in the woods kind of vibe. I'm in. Then we have Justice League RWBY, issue 5, and this, I don't know what this is yet. I haven't read it yet already, but I really want to. Then we have a new one, which I don't know what it's about, but I'm very excited to discover. It's called The Me You Love in the Dark. This is by Scotty Young, George Corona, Jean-Francois Bellew, and Nate Picos. Wow, these people have difficult names. And this is sort of a gothic, sad, haunted house vibe to it. I perused through the art and it's beautiful. It reminds me of indie games. And so I want to know what this is about because I love gothic, I love haunted houses, and I think I'm going to like a sad, I don't know, it kind of gives me the Haunting of Bly Manor vibes if you've watched that, but I don't know what this is about, so thoughts on it soonish. Now we have something that it's not really a manga, but it's also not a comic, it's kind of a graphic novel. It's called Did You Hear What Eddie Gein Done? And it's by Harold Schechter and Eric Powell, and this is supposed to be sort of like the story of Ed Gein, which, if you don't know, he's the inspiration for Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He was an actual person that was a serial killer, and It says, from the moment his unspeakable crimes were discovered in November 1957, the story of the Wisconsin ghoul Ed Gein gripped the world's imagination with mythic power. Immortalized in the forms of Psycho's Norman Bates, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's Leatherface, and the Silence of the Lambs' Buffalo Bill, the mild-mannered, seemingly harmless farmer from the tiny town of Plainfield was more monstrously deranged than any of his make-believe avatars. And this is kind of about the investigation going on and some interviews that actually took place, but in the format of graphic novels with a lot of information about Ed Gein and his crimes and what he's done and why he's done it. And if you don't know me, I love true crime and I also love serial killers. I love the psychic behind all of it and how they rationalize what they've done, or if they don't, or if they just don't care. And I don't know, I wanted to know more about this, and my boyfriend gifted this to me because he knows that I'm obsessed with serial killers. And yeah, it sounds awesome, and the artwork inside is pretty gorgeous. Like, extremely gorgeous. So yeah. Now for the manga, this one technically isn't mine, but since I'm the one that reads them, let's just say, I have Censor by Junji Ito, which I have already read, and this is a beauty. I'm going to link my review for Censor and other Junji Ito's works, because in that review I actually undressed this book and you can see all of the inside beauty of it, which I don't really have the time to do now, but wow, this was really cool. It's not my favorite Junji Ito, but it was a really great cosmic horror story, and it had beautiful art, and for the first time ever, he actually focused on characters and character development instead of mind-blowing and wild-going plots. But of course, this is horror, so there's a lot of trigger warnings, especially for body dysmorphia and everything that has to do with body horror and gore. So if you don't like that, stay clear from Junji Ito. If you like that, or if you don't mind that, get into it, because he is a master for a reason. Then we have The Promise Neverland Volume 20, and this is by Kaishida and Posuka de Misu. This is the final volume of the Promise Neverland series, which, coincidentally, I also have a review for the entirety of the series. It's a non-spoiler review, so I will leave it linked up above so that you can go and check it out. I really enjoy this series. I enjoy the way that it ended. It could have ended differently, but in this way it was really enjoyable. I guessed some of the plot twists, but others I didn't, and I really liked the way that this ending. It was fulfilling in a way that I didn't thought it was going to be possible, because with such a tiny volume, the authors just grasped the entirety of the story and finished it in a very fulfilling way. So if you haven't started Promise Neverland, do it. It's worth it. And although it's 20 volumes, there are bigger series than this. So it's a cool series to start if you like dystopian, if you don't mind a little bit of horror. Nothing very intense, but of course trigger warnings for child abuse and some mutilations, but not incredibly on-page intense. So you can get into this with no problem. I really enjoyed it. Then we have Fullmetal Alchemist, the Fullmetal Edition, volume 14th. Well, 13th, no, 14th. And this one is a beautiful green one, and as you know, the covers go around and around, and I just love these. If you don't know, I am absolutely obsessed with Fullmetal Alchemist. I think it's one of the best stories ever told. I have repeated this over and over again like a parrot. So if you haven't watched the animation, I highly recommend Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is, in my opinion, a better adaptation of the manga and an enjoyable story. Or read the manga, because the manga is great, even though the art is not my favorite type of art. In mangas, I prefer more developed sort of art and not as clean as this one is. It's beautiful and it's a huge story, so if you want to start somewhere, you can start Fullmetal Alchemist, because you'll probably love it as much as I do. Then we have it, and say it with me, Dead Demons, DEDEDE Destruction, Volume 4 by Inyo Asano. And as you probably know, Asano is one of my favorite mangakas, and I am slowly but surely doing this collection. I've only read the first one of these, and this is sort of a dystopian world in a way, but it's also like an overview of our society. Basically what happens is aliens park their ships on top of the sun in Tokyo. So there's no more sun. However, the aliens don't do anything. They don't hurt no one, they don't get out of the ships. It's fine. So people just don't have vitamin D, and the crops start dying and everything because there's no sun. But pretty much everything is okay apart from that. So it's like how to deal with the apocalypse when it's continuously happening and it's not that damaging. And it's about the lives of some teenagers and their families. And it's really interesting, and Asano's artwork is amazingly beautiful. All of the chaoticness and details that he puts into his works is just fucking amazing. Like, they look like actual people. I love it. I love it. Then we have MADK Volume 2, and this one's a little bit bigger than the first one. And as you can see here, this says explicit content. So this is by Ryu Suzuri, and this is a story of this dude. He has a strange fetish. He likes to eat meat while he's having sex, like a sexual thing for him. So because he doesn't want to hurt no one, he one day summons a demon and tells him, like, I will sell you my soul if you let me eat your flesh while we have intercourse. And the demon is like, okay, sure. And then the dude dies and goes to hell because he has a contract with the demon. He has his soul. And now he's kind of learning that fetishes and strange thing in hell can kind of haunt you forever. And it's about his relationship with the demon. And the demon, it's not exactly male, but not exactly female either. It's like a prince of hell, but doesn't really have a sex thing. But it's really strange. I've read the first one and I enjoyed it. The artwork was completely different from what I've read so far. It's a little bit also creepy because of course you're in hell and things aren't easy. And there's kinky fetishes, strange fetishes. There's trigger warnings, of course, for abuse and sexual situations that you might not be pleasantly associated with. Also cannibalism, of course, but it's not as tough as I was thinking it would be, and I think it has potential to be a nice story, so I want to read the second volume. Then we have The Witch and the Beast Volume 3, and this is by Kosuke Satake, and I love these covers. They're just so noir and wow. And the artwork inside is just fucking beautiful. Like, amazing. And this is about these two people that work for sort of a magic controlling society, and they are hunting witches because in this world witches are evil and they throw curses, so they have to be killed or stopped. And our little girl, she's a berserker and this man is like a magician, and they just get into trouble so often, but it's like a very serious sort of manga, so it's not a shonen where they're just like comic trouble. It's really serious, but at the same time it's really aggressive. And then I have another one that I really wanted to try, and it's a first volume, and this is Ran and the Grey World, and this is by Akihide, which has an incredible art. I mean, unbelievably beautiful. And I have seen these covers, they go around, by the way, in the shop, and I really wanted this because it's beautiful, and it's really vain of me to say that I want something because it's beautiful, but it's beautiful. And the story of this is about Ran. She's a little girl, but she's magical. Magic runs in the family. And so one day she decides that she will grow herself into the body of a teenager. However, she is really a child, but she starts meeting people in this teenage body. So can there be trouble for that? Can there be romance? Can there be strange situations? How can she control her magic? Will she be stuck there forever with a teenage body in a child's mind, or not? I don't know. It sounds chaotic, beautiful, and really fun, which is normally not my type of manga, but I am willing to give this one a chance because it's absolutely beautiful, and I've heard a lot about this artist, so I want to know more about her works. Then I have two books which are the completion of a collection, and those are Two Dark Reigns and Five Dark Fates by Kenara Blake, and these ones are in Portuguese, and they are the ending of the Three Dark Crowns series, I think. So there are number 3 and 4. There's 4 of the books. I've read 1 and 2, but I will reread them and read the entirety of the series. This is about a country, let's just say, where there's always triplets, 3 sisters that are born with specific powers, and only one of them can be queen of the island or else something will happen. So when they reach, I believe their 18th year old, or is it 16? I think it's 18. They have to kill each other, and the one surviving will be the one ruling. However, this generation is a bit different, and I'm not going to tell you anything else. This is dark fantasy, actually. Not grim dark, it's just dark fantasy. And wow, it's amazing. I love the characters, I love the plot. I never thought that I was going to like this as much as I do, but now I really want to finish it and know who's going to be queen, and if someone is going to survive. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for my haul for today. So yeah, tell me something down below if you've read these books, if you know these books, if you want to know these books, or mangas, or comics, or whatever. So that's going to be all for today, and happy readings to you all. Bye! I thought you've seen the last of me, but no, I have more books, and so we have a postscriptum addendum thingy to this video. So, to not take a long time, the first one that I have here is The End of the Fucking World by Charles Forsman. This is a graphic novel, and if you don't know, there's a Netflix adaptation for this, which if you haven't seen, please do yourself a favor and do it. It's amazing. It's about existential dread, and it's about a couple of teenagers that just run away from their homes. One of them is pretty sure that he is a serial killer or a psychopath, as he says, which for me, that was a little bit of a no, you're fucking not, because the concept of psychopathy is completely different than what social media throws into your throat. But this is another discussion completely different for another completely different video. And the other one, she just wants to run away because. And this is a very simple graphic novel. So the artwork of this is just like people with noses, basically. It's very simple. However, I haven't read the graphic novel, but in the series, it's all about the topics in question of existential dread, of not feeling welcome in your skin or in society, being a fuck up and not know what you're doing most of the time, which is basically how we feel like when we are teenagers. And I am a 25-year-old woman and I still feel like that sometimes. So I'm excited to read a graphic novel since I enjoy the series so much, and you will know my comments on it pretty soon. Then I got the first volume of An Echo in the Bone, the 7th Outlander book, part 1, because in Portugal we divide these in 2 parts for some stupid reason. And I have part 2 on the book fair. I got it. I was able to get it at a discounted price, but I didn't have part 1 and I needed it to start reading the book. So I was able to find it. I was pretty happy about that. So now I can read it. I'm pretty sure you all know Outlander. It's back in time sort of historical fiction kind of thing. It's obviously a romance, but it has some lives of fantasy, and I have to say it's one of my guilty pleasure reads and I enjoy it immensely. Then I have another one that will surely break my heart, and it's called If Cats Disappeared from the World, and this is by Genki Kawamura, which I do believe is a Japanese author. Yeah, he's a Japanese author, and he's actually an author of bestseller novels and children's books. He's also a producer, a director, and the script writer. That's nice. So I don't really know what this is about. My boyfriend saw this and he gifted it to me. I think it's sort of like there's this young mailman and he's going to die. And he only has his cat as his company. And he only has some months to live. It's kind of the basic premise of this. But he starts to do a list of things that he has to do before he dies, and the devil appears and proposes a trait. If he makes disappear one thing, and only one thing in this world disappear, he wins a day to live. And it says it begins a very odd week. And I don't know, I think that these are like reflections about life and what the world would be like if you just take one thing and one thing only from the world, which I would say it's maybe the cat, his companion. I don't know, but he's the only companion that he has. He's going to give up the cat. I don't know what's going on, but I'm really excited to. I have said multiple times that I do feel like Asian authors do have a bigger sensibility. I love reading Japanese authors, and I think that this one might be a great one, and the cover is beautiful, so I am intrigued. And then I have The Last House on Needle Street, and this is by Catriona Ward. I have heard a lot about this book from all of the booktubers everywhere, and now it's translated in Portuguese. I know absolutely nothing of this. I know it's about a father and a daughter, I think. Yeah, in a street, and something happens and it's supposed to be a horror revenge story. I don't know, because this said, you're not going to believe in what hides in the last house in Needle Street. This is a story of Ted that lives with his daughter Lauren and his cat Olivia in a house perfectly ordinary At the end of the street, perfectly ordinary. This is a story of a killer, of a stolen child, of revenge. Everything is true and everything's a lie. And I'm like, wait, what? So what is this about? I don't know. And I want to figure out. I hope it's creepy and I hope it's well written. So yeah, that's it. So that is going to be all for the book haul. Now, for real, I hope. So yeah, happy readings to you all. Bye!